This is where it is very important for senior management, and compliance will typically be heavily involved to be able to say that they have performed oversight of the licensed corporations following market sounding requirements. To be honest, for a lot of the bigger firms, they may already be in compliance with the requirements for market sounding. They probably have it in place already. So for example, they may already have control rooms. That would be the easiest way to comply with these requirements. However, if you're talking about the hedge funds that have 20 people, they're not going to have 10 different committees. They're not going to have a control room. So this is where it needs to be both practical, effective, but also be in compliance to demonstrate that the firm has oversight. It's probably the smaller firms that needs to be a bit more creative to see how they can comply with it, because to be honest, I don't think it's regulators' intention to be creating a lot of extra work or just creating processes for the sake of processes. They are actually quite reasonable in their expectations. So it's just being smart, having a senior management person, so let's say the head of compliance, who kind of really sit down, look at what our current operation is, and draw up a plan on the compliance that makes the most sense for that company. First one is setting up the committee that's required to be overseeing the firm's compliance, having a regular review whether the process they are proposing is effective, talking to the disclosing parties to make sure they seem to be aware and have formulated a protocol. So for example, the disclosing party is supposed to have standard scripts to give to you if they are providing you with market sounding activities. So just quickly checking with all the disclosing parties that you typically work with and ask, do you guys have your standard script? Can we take a look and see whether it's adequate? A review of the current investment restriction policy is probably a good idea at this time. Staff training, I think, is important. When we talk about market sounding and MNPI, the functionalities of the system. So in my experience when shopping around for systems, you look at the functionalities. So MNPI, employee compliance, tends to be quite helpful because a lot of the day-to-day gives an entertainment, staff dealing, and how staff dealing comes into the restricted list as well. That's actually a key part.